Whether you're a Weinstein or still a student, we are helping you get to the head of the class by teaching you the wisdom behind wine tasting. And I am thrilled to be joined by Master Somm Tim Gaiser. He is going to teach us some tricks on how to taste wine like a genius. You are a Master Somm, one of the coveted few. What are there, like 200 in the world? Is that right?
There are 202.
Oh, excuse me, I stand corrected. There are 202 Master Somms in the world, and you happen to be one of them. Now, some regular folks at home might be a little more familiar about what it takes because of that documentary Somm that a lot of people saw.
I think that's a really good snapshot of the lives of the students who are at the master's level studying for the exams and all the insane study and the long hours. But also what I think it shows is the camaraderie of guys in a group. Because like those guys in that movie, I was fortunate to be in a really great study group. And that's a huge, huge difference because it's almost impossible to do by yourself. But the tasting exam, yeah, it's really difficult. For me, by far of the three parts, the most difficult. I've coached hundreds and hundreds of students in our program over the last 15 plus years, and most of it on tasting. And then I have my own tasting project, which is all about olfactory smell memory and the neurology of that and how it works. And that's because in 2009, I sat in front of a film crew in 2 sessions with a behavioral scientist. And for about 4 hours on camera, I tasted wines. I smelled and tasted the wines with this guy, Tim Halbaum, standing next to me, and he tracked my eye movements and patterns and my language patterns. And between the two of us, we deconstructed what I do internally when I smell and taste wine. So unlike practically anyone you could ever talk to, I can tell you exactly what I do internally when I smell and taste wine.
And is that something that is inherent to you, Tim, as a person, or is that something that can be learned or what's natural to any human being that would normally do that when they smell and taste wine? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's a not so short question with a really long answer. You're good at those, I have a feeling. But no, so I set out to find out if what worked for me was true with other really good tasters. And so over the last 2 years, I've modeled the tasting strategies of 12 to 15 Master Sommeliers and Masters of Wine and other top people in the industry and a couple of perfume experts as well. But what I have found is a series of strategies that are very common to 75 to 80% of us.
Okay.
Now, think about this. I don't know if you play golf. I don't play golf, but I know that if you don't address the ball, if you don't have a routine, and you don't do the same thing consistently every time, you're not going to be successful, period. Wine is no different, and only nobody talks about it. So how you pick up the glass and what you do with it in terms of how you address it, and then what your eyes do is huge. And if you watch experienced tasters, they do practically the same thing every time.
That's hard to do with anything, let alone wine, right?
No, we're going to do it in terms of how you pick up the glass. And, you know, I watched George Riedel Crystal, as in this glassware, teach people how to smell. And he says, just put the glass on your upper lip and then start to tilt it, you know. And as you tilt it somewhere, and not too far for obvious reasons, you'll hoover the wine. But, you know, somewhere between 50 and 25, 35 degrees, like for me, right about here, you're going to find the zone. And all of a sudden, the wine is really going to come on. You're going to be able to smell a lot. Okay, that's what you want. But notice as you do that, what happens is that your torso, head, eyes go down. Okay, so they're going to do this. All right, that's number one. And then number two, for the odd person like me, there are 2 ways to smell wine. One is called passive inhalation, and one's called active inhalation. Passive inhalation is most people. That's where you put the glass up there, you smell with your nose. Okay, for me, that's like standing next to a speaker and it's on full blast, like right here. It's overwhelming. I can't smell wine that way. And I have to take the wine and pull the glass away from my face by about 1 inch, and I open my mouth, and I breathe in through my mouth and nose at the same time. So it's like, and for me, that opened the world up when I started doing that about 25 years ago. So that's called what I call active inhalation. You breathe into your mouth and nose at the same time. When people are smelling high alcohol wines like fortified wines, ports, sherries, madeiras, or spirits, it's really important because you can't, if you have your nose crammed into the glass of malt whiskey, it's going to flame out. The alcohol's too much.
You just smell like your nose is on fire. It's burning, right?
Yeah. So that, and also things like floral aromas and citrus aromas and white wines, they live at the top of the glass. So if your nose is crammed all the way in, you're not going to smell flowers and wine. The second thing is, again, as I mentioned, the eyes, is that practically everybody looks down. And there's a reason. And it's called eye accessing cues. In psychology, it's lateral and vertical eye movements. So your eyes go to various places to access different memory functions. Okay? So visual remembered is up left for about 90% of the human race. If I ask you what color are your mother's eyes and you really focus, you go up left. Thank you. Perfect demonstration. If you want to make something up, like imagine an animal that's half giraffe and half hippopotamus, everybody goes up right. Yeah, the statue of Walt Disney doing this, looking up and to the right, dreaming, coming up with something. So that's visual. Auditory is horizon, memory is left, make something up is right. But the important thing for us is down, because kinesthetics, feelings or emotions are down right, and then digital audio, talking to yourself, is down center and down left. That's important for us because when you put your nose in the glass, you are talking to yourself. You're going, what's there? What am I smelling? And maybe you're not conscious of it, but I have to tell you again, all these really great tasters I've worked with, they all said something like that to themselves in some form, like, what's there? That's what I say. So in their own voice, they hear, and maybe they're not conscious of it, but it's down here. And that's your zone. That's what tasters have to find. They have to find this, and they have to find out where they feel really comfortable, where they can shut the world out. I mean, and if you have both of those things, you can be comfortable and really focus, and then you can start. But if you imagine this, in fact, I want you to try this. And this is going to be tricky with a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
But if you,
it always is.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. But if you get into where you think you're comfortable, and then only move your eyes, and I want you to slowly start looking up and go up with your eyes as far as you can. And what happens with smelling the wine?
Like kind of disappeared a little bit. Because this is really weird. I was still smelling it, but when I moved my eyes, I like the smell went away a little bit. It's like I couldn't smell it. I never thought.
It's eye and brain function. Okay, so there you go. So that's why most of us, not all of us, because again, there's a guy who's a master who I worked with before he passed, and he just turns to the side and looks out there, and goes in a trance, basically. But practically everybody looks down center, maybe slightly right, but most people, myself included, it's down left. We're looking down here, but that is to say that's where you start, okay? Because after that, your eyes are going to go to other places because, again, you're trying to remember and recognize what you smell in the glass. And so they may go to who knows where else. It doesn't matter, but if you know that's where you start, then you can pick up the glass and do the same thing every time. And you have a routine. The easiest for someone who's watching this video, if you pick up a glass of wine and stand up and take your free hand and just point with your eyes and go back and forth and find the place, and all of a sudden, boom, find it. And then go to it half a dozen times so you know exactly where it is. And also just be aware of body position, because that's too. So body position, eyes, and just be able to get to it quickly.
And if people are watching and they're thinking, wait a second, I thought we were talking about drinking wine. What's all this smelling have to do with it? How important is the smelling to the tasting?
Smelling is everything. I mean, smelling, scientists say, 85% of the sense of taste? Yeah, at least. MS exams, we go through the seeing and smelling the wine and describing what the nose is like. We get to the palate, and all you're doing is confirming what you've smelled and if it changed, and it probably will. But then you're tasting for structure, for alcohol, acid, and tannin, and finish. That's all you're doing. Because if you're a good taster, by the time you get to the palate, you know it's going to taste like. And if it surprises you, it's usually bad. Something went wrong in terms of winemaking.
And when you say bad, you mean a flaw?